Welcome to Disturbing Books for Disturbed Readers, your new favorite way to find the most twisted, depraved, and gruesome reads. Each episode features a to-the-point, spoiler-free review of one of my top picks. If you find that we have similar tastes, then come along. Let's find a new story
to give you nightmares.
This episode's recommendation is Off Season by Jack Ketchum. September. A beautiful New York editor retreats to a lonely cabin on a hill in the quiet Maine beach town of Dead River, off season, awaiting her sister and friends. Nearby, a savage human family with a taste for flesh lurks in the darkening woods, watching, waiting for the moon to rise and night to fall. And before too many hours pass, 5 civilized, sophisticated people and one tired old country sheriff will learn just how primitive we all are beneath the surface, and that there are no limits at all to the will to survive. Off Season is Jack Ketchum's 1980 debut novel. At the time, it caused a great deal of controversy given the intensity and severity of the violence depicted in this book. By today's standards, it's become somewhat commonplace, but given the public outcry and amount of pressure placed on the publisher after this book was released, you can tell that this was one of the books where it all started. As someone who's always been a big fan of horror movies, one of my favorite things about this book is that it reads like one. It cold opens in a chase scene and then begins introducing the book's main characters to you. The first half of the book is getting to know the characters, learning more about their relationships and feelings between and towards each other and their histories. None of it feels slow or boring, especially since you know where it's leading and there will be little hints along the way that things are not quite right. It's a classic setup, like many horror movies, obviously other books too. Cabin in the woods, secluded young people. But aside from all of that, halfway through the book, once it kicks off, it ramps up and pretty much does not let off the throttle the entire time. Once you hit that point, it will be very hard to stop reading it. It is brutal, both violently and emotionally. It is absolutely sadistic and shocking all the way until the very end. It follows 2 main stories: the story of the people in the cabin and then the story of the sheriff, and they converge, in my opinion, at the perfect time with the maximum amount of suspense. I came to this book looking for horror and to be shocked, but I was really surprised at just how invested I got into all the characters, and this is just an absolutely devastating book. So if for some reason you're interested in that, like I am, I would absolutely recommend it. This is another not quite under the radar pick. This is obviously very famous, but I would definitely recommend reading it, especially if you are coming from maybe more of a horror movie background. It reads like a very conventional horror movie. Not in that it's generic, but just that it's familiar. There's a lot of moments in the first half where there are sort of Chekhov's gun foreshadowing moments. Once I got over the shock of having read through the entire thing, which you will understand if you do, I was just thinking about how fun it was to read it. I am very excited to read the remaining books in the series. This is a series of 3, but I'd say there's a little bit of something for everyone in here. It is gory. It is dark. It is disturbing. It is incredibly violent. But it's not the most shocking thing out there. It's not gory for gory's sake or anything like that. If you enjoy reading on the darker side of things, and I assume you do since you are here, then this is a must read, and I think you'll really, really like it. This book is definitely not hard to find. It's available for purchase pretty much anywhere. You can get an e-version. There's an audiobook. They may even have it at your local library. But as usual, I will put a few links of where you can find it in the show notes so you can read it for yourself. As always, if you do check it out, let me know what you think if you've already read it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And until next time.